trying to get my little camera together for hang with. So I got my little.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
I was trying to multitask.
I love it. And I've tagged you on my broadcast. So Share Social is tagged on. I don't know if you've seen the live link overlay that we have now. So people can click on the overlay. Yep.
I've seen that. Hold on. Let me get this gorilla thing
together.
Gorilla is all well and wonderful, but I just need something simple.
Exactly.
Simple stuff.
All good. All good. And for my what's up to my viewers, I've got a few people who are showing up on Hang With as well, so
I guess because you're the head man in charge.
Right. I hope I get some viewers. Although people get sick of my broadcasts, they get sick of me. Let's see who's here. What's up, Yotun? I got 2 likes already and 15 viewers. I haven't done much, so. But yeah, hey guys. So I'm right now here. I'll flip this around so you can see what's going on. I'm doing a Google Hangouts interview. This is Alice Fuller from sharesocial.com, and it's a social media website.
Actually, it's a business. It's a social media consulting business. Just happened to be started by an entertainment blogger some eons ago.
There you go. So I'm just doing a little bit of an interview right now, and I thought it'd be fun to stream it on Hang With while I was doing the interview and just bring you guys in. So if we'll see what you guys get to see. We'll see if it's interesting.
I'm wrestling with this gorilla tripod.
No worries. Just getting set up.
I'm trying to think. Should I have the camera turned toward me or to the computer? I'm confused. Okay, so we're going to go to public broadcast. We're just going to wing it. Whatever happens, happens.
Just wing it.
Yeah, just wing it. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Okay, don't worry. Your full broadcast was still saved on your profile. Well, that's special. Okay.
Oh, thank you for all those likes. Whoever's giving me those likes, I appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to start aggregating those likes and start making those numbers go up instead of just keeping it at one at a time. So, oh, cool. You got someone who likes your site. Dangerous checked out your site. He thinks it's a cool site.
Oh, already?
You're already getting traffic out of this. How about that?
Yay. Okay. Okay. Allow him with access to your. Okay. Well, yeah. I've already set this thing up. Well, you know what? No. I don't want the paparazzi showing up places I don't need to show up.
Right.
My adoring fans and whatnot. Okay, let's see if I can get this puppy to start shooting me. Turn the camera around. There we go.
Thanks, Toon.
So
that's new.
We're going to put you in the big screen and me in the small screen.
All right.
All right, we're almost ready. Almost ready. Let me get this a little more together. Put you in the forefront. Back puppy up. Back down. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So for anybody who's joined, nobody's joined my little stream as of yet. That's okay, but my feelings are not hurt. You can watch it on the replay. Watch it on the replay. This is a wonderful thing that you can have replays. All things considered.
All right, and I'll just tell my people who just joined me because there's some new people on my side. I'm speaking to Alice Fuller from sharesocial.com, who's an entertainment blogger and also social media consultant. So I'm just sharing the broadcast while you guys are watching, doing this interview, and who knows, maybe I'll get to answer some of your questions as well. But right now I'm going to focus on Alice's questions, and then at the end maybe we'll circle back because I've got questions popping up on my side as well. So we'll do both.
Okay, I don't have any as of yet. No viewers as of yet. That's okay. That's okay. Just because I'm probably relatively so new. I'm not new to Hang With, but I'm new on the app as Share Social. Now I was using the app as my entertainment side. Okay. Not as my Share Social side.
Oh, so now you get a new side. All right. Well, we'll have to talk about that.
Kind of flip the script on him a little bit.
There you go.
I want to go ahead and get started because I don't want to waste any of your time.
Great.
He's like, great.
Let's dig in. Let's go.
Okay. So first, I'd love to get an introduction into you, the man behind the app. and how the app even came to be.
Okay, great. So my background is actually in marketing. Before years and years and years ago, I was an advertising copywriter, and then I became an advertising creative director. I left the advertising business, oh gosh, a while ago now. I think it's like 9 years ago, because I really was frustrated with where advertising was going. It was all TV, print, and radio. Digital wasn't really being embraced the way that I felt that it should be, and there were all these new mediums popping up, and I felt like clients were a little bit behind in where the times were. So I quit the advertising world. I started a consulting business, really to just help people figure out marketing from a new vantage point. I was working with a big auto manufacturer and auto dealer back in 2008, and I was in a BMW showroom. I'm going to put this down, so I'm not holding that. I was in a BMW showroom. I was with my client. We were watching all these people look at their phones instead of look at the cars. And we realized that, okay, well, if all these people are paying more attention to their phone than they're paying attention to this $100,000 vehicle, we should probably, yes.
Okay, one. I gotta make a technical.
Oh, technical.
Yeah, hold on.
Hold on, people. Technical moment.
Hold on, people. Hold on. I'm gonna start you. I'm gonna give you a. Here we go. Okay. Just a second.
Okay.
Let me get that.
I'll stay loose.
Yeah, that was that. Okay. We are actually live officially now on Google Hangout as well as Hang With. So I'm going to ask for my audience on YouTube. I am interviewing a great individual. His name is Dave Schwartz. He is one of the developers behind this great mobile live streaming app called Hang With. I know some of y'all are hip to it, but we're not going to mention that one today unless we really, really have to. And that other one, we're not going to mention those two today. We're talking about Hang With because I personally and professionally think this app is more than worthy of being involved in the overall conversation regarding mobile live streaming. And you're going to hear why in just a moment. So I want to introduce you to Dave Schwartz. So Dave, I want you to go ahead and reintroduce yourself again. And then tell me how you got the inspiration to even do or create something like Hang With.
Alice, first of all, thanks so much for taking some time with me today. Again, thank you. My name is Dave Schwartz. I am the co-founder of a company called Metal Mobile, and one of our products that we've developed and has now become its own company itself is an app called Hang With. As I was explaining to you a little bit before, I actually came by way of marketing. In a former life, I was an advertising creative director. I left the advertising world behind. I was looking for maybe a little bit more creativity and to get more in touch with how consumers and brands and everybody could potentially interact with each other. I discovered mobile in 2008 and thought it was an amazing way for brands and companies and consumers to connect and build relationships. Started building some apps back in 2008 with a good friend who became my business partner, Andrew Malton. His background was in building big scalable technologies and was also very interested in the mobile space. And we really started building, it started as kind of an incubator and as a place where we were generating our own ideas and working with clients to help them turn their ideas for apps into applications. And we built out this business that today it is still working to build apps for clients. And we work with some great customers from Hyundai to we've worked with Taco Bell and Verizon. And over the years, we've built some really incredible applications. As we've done that, because we're located in Southern California, we're close to Hollywood. We've got great relationships in LA, and we've built a number of applications over the years for entertainers. And it was really in building a number of those applications that we realized there was a bigger opportunity. Really, we would build these apps again and again where the creative brief, if you will, was always the same. The brief was that it was somebody who had a large number of social media followers, but they felt that they were looking for a better way to connect with their followers and build a stronger connection really just between them and their followers via mobile. And they also wanted to get paid for it. They were looking to monetize, and they were used to being paid for all the other aspects of their life. But social media was the one where they were expected to do work and there was no revenue model. So that was kind of the initial spark behind why we decided to build the Hang With application. we just heard this again and again from our customers, and we realized that there was a bigger opportunity than building individual apps every single time. And we thought, let's just build one platform that really works across the spectrum, where anybody can use it to connect directly with their fans and build this authentic mobile to person-to-person relationship, and then also have monetization be a part of it. And really, when we started building it, that's when we saw that there were much bigger applications than just what we saw at the beginning.
Okay. Well, going back to that authenticity, trying to say that fast, to that authenticity element, because I was reading on your website how a lot of celebrities wanted to get rid of that barrier of, oh, it's my publicist posting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I want to have that real time, person to person element. How important do you think that has become? Because at first, in this whole era of social media, for some celebrities, yes, they do want that authenticity, but some celebrities, no. So do you think we have evolved to that point, especially in entertainment, where more and more celebrities will be seeking that kind of engagement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, it's happening on a couple of levels. It's happening on a level where, from a technology standpoint, we're going from this kind of asynchronous communication to synchronized communication, where asynchronous is I post something and then you comment on it and then someone else comments on it and I can check back in later to see what your comment was and I can re-comment. And so it just happens as it happens. And there's a purpose for that and there's a time and place for it, and it's fantastic. It's gotten us really far. But I think that people are craving more of a real connection now, and asynchronous doesn't give you a real connection. I can play a game with my friends on my phone where we each take our turns and we take one turn a day, but that doesn't replace sitting down across the table from people playing a game and connecting with them. And so I think that in that same way, a live mobile connection allows people to have an authentic relationship where you can ask me a question and I can answer back, or I can say hello to the people in the chat and we can have a conversation. That's just it's almost like a fundamental human experience that took a while for technology to catch up to how we like to interact or how we should interact. From the first part of your question regarding celebrities and do they want it, do they not want it? There's certainly entertainers out there and celebs and musicians and athletes, actors who have a very polished image and are very careful to protect that image. And there's an element of live streaming that presents a risk to that very carefully polished image. There's also, I would say, however, that more often is the case that the people that I get the chance to interact with and meet with, they would much rather be real with their fans. They would much rather connect with their fans and have an honest relationship. And even the ones who really polish their public image, they understand how to. It doesn't mean that they change who they are when they go public. It just means that they have to be a little bit more nimble and a little bit ready to handle whatever may come at them. And we've seen people really elegant and handle themselves really well. And I think that once they get used to the idea that this is live and people are watching, now I don't have to read all of the chat that's going on my chat stream right now. I like to pay attention to it, but I don't have to stop what I'm doing here with you. So it gives me a little bit of control. It actually gives me a lot of control. I have the ability to respond to what I don't want to respond to, check in with what I want to. If someone was in my chat and they were saying something that I didn't agree with, I could block them and kick them out of the room. So I still have control over that experience. And then one of the things that we built into the app, again, keeping the kind of this celebrity mindset at the forefront, was when the broadcast is over, if I don't like how I did, I can just go in and hide it. I can take it down. So it doesn't have to be forever for everybody to always see. It could very simply be, if you're here live hanging with me, you get to be a part of it. And even if it got shared across Facebook and got shared across Twitter and this thing gets retweeted 1,000 times, if I don't like what it looks like, I just take down the link and people find out, okay, well, you'll need to be there next time.
Okay. Looking at some of the other apps that are out there, the commenting element is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you were developing this particular app, how important was that user experience with commenting? Because in some instances, if you've got a lot of things going on, you got the comments, just rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched some celebs look at the screen and say, you know what, forget it, I can't.
Well,
and
their followers to tune in, and their followers get to tune in live. User story number 2 is that those followers get to interact with the person in live chat. So really, those are kind of like the most fundamental elements of the application. And we spent a lot of time working on how the chat does flow. And so it loads in, I don't want to say chunks because it sounds very unelegant and there was a lot of work to make it feel elegant, but it does surface in blocks to allow you a little bit of time. Even when it's flying, it gives you a little bit of a pause to be able to focus in on things. And then as a user, like if I'm picking this up right now and, for your viewers, I can scroll back through the chat. I can, if I want to see who somebody is, I can tap on their name. I can see who they are.
Hold up a little higher.
Oh, sure.
Hold up. Yeah, there you go.
So, I'm looking at the chat right now and I want to see who this person is. So I tap their name. I get to see who they are. I can get more of their information. If I don't like them, I can actually go ahead and block them right from here. So if someone's saying something that I don't want during the chat, I can go ahead and moderate that and control it. I can also do that after the broadcast is over. And the chat does flow really smoothly when I'm controlling it. When it's coming in at a fast pace, it does move nice and quickly. But again, I've watched Alan Tudyk, for example. Alan Tudyk will have 3,000 to 5,000 people watching his broadcasts. It was announced that he was in the new Star Wars film that's filming now. And as soon as it was announced that he was in the film, he came up on Hangwith and gave a live announcement for his fans on Hangwith and told everybody what's going on. And people were going crazy. And the number of people who are saying, oh my God, Star Wars, and Alan, this is so great. And this is so incredible. And I can't wait to see you in Star Wars. It was moving very quickly. But he just sits back and scrolls through with his thumb and reads it and comments and chats with people. So I think he's got, the users get a lot of control over that. I'm going to plug in my computer for 1 sec just so I don't lose you with battery. Okay. I don't want to, yeah. Oh, I just had to.
I didn't have to do stand-up.
Nope.
Sit-down comedy routine or anything.
No. Although if you have a stand-up comedy routine, I'm sure we'll take it, but we're good.
So my next question, when I was first introduced to the app over a year ago, which is a year ago, which means it was on the market, it was in use for the one that starts with a P and the one that starts with M. So out way before those, just letting you know. And I heard about 50 Cent being involved. I was like, oh, hip hop meets technology.
Mm-hmm.
Don't see that too often, at least not in my circles. I see hip hop and music and hip hop and alcohol and hip hop and clubs and hip hop and other entrepreneur endeavors. But I had not, that was kind of like one of the first times I'd seen hip hop make a great connection, one of the best connections with technology. I've seen one other music producer do that, but I haven't seen a lot of that. And I was like, wow. How did 50 get involved with Hangwith?
I mean, 50 from a personal level, we're kind of in the community here in LA, so we know people and we know people, and so we were able to connect with a bunch of interesting people. But I think that the comment about hip hop rings really true because at least as I've seen it, first of all, I think rappers and hip hop artists are kind of the entrepreneurs of the music industry. A rapper really only has his voice. He doesn't have a lot of times a musical background or a musical education or a lot of training or a band or a bunch of instruments. They're like, they're laying down a beat and they're just rapping over it. And they're very innovative. They're very much like, just trying to find new ways to break through in the music community, try to break through in the business community. And I often say that rappers are the entrepreneurs of the music industry. And I think that's really true. And I think hip hop artists in general are always looking for what's next and looking for what's coming out next. And they're really good at spotting trends. They're also unafraid. They're not worried about putting themselves out there. I think Soulja Boy found us really, really early on, and he was picking it up and just freestyling lyrics where he was reading the chat and freestyling with the chat kind of day one. you know, where he was messing with it, and he didn't really care if it was 3,000 people or 300 people watching him. He was just having fun and playing with this new piece of technology. And I think that, you know, we're in other genres, maybe the artists are a little bit more careful with what they, you know, what the perception of what they're perceived to be touching and not touching. Whereas in hip hop, it's kind of like embracing the new and finding the new.
Okay. But there's also some actors like Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to learn about that today. And I'm wondering too, when it comes to the mobile element of it, because you could have developed another desktop app. Mm-hmm. And I dare say that we're speaking of trends when it comes to mobile devices. How important was it to have this communicate via mobile? Because live streaming is not new, despite what some people may think. Live streaming is totally not new. But this mobile thing just takes it to a whole next level.
It's really important to us that it's all about mobile for us. I mean, we see, you know, we started a mobile development shop in 2008 because we saw mobile apps as the future. We've always believed that this device is how people, you know, we used to say someday we'll communicate and connect in much deeper ways. And today it's just part of our lives and we don't go anywhere without it. But I think from a product planning and from a technicality standpoint, we actually have the ability to broadcast from a desktop really early. It's not that hard to build what we've built on a mobile device on a desktop device. In fact, it's much easier. You can plug in for connectivity, so you don't need to worry about your connection rapidly changing up and down. Whereas with a mobile device, we have to be prepared for wildly changing bandwidth rates within a single broadcast. If I were to walk around the office here, in some places I'm going to be really close to where our Wi-Fi's, you know, signal is, and other places I'm going to be further away, and I might have to even switch over to 3G or to LTE or 4G or whatever is available as I'm moving. So the technology has to accommodate for all those things. From a user standpoint, we decided to not make the desktop platform available really for a lot longer than maybe even was comfortable, because we wanted to make sure that our users looked at this as a mobile platform, and we didn't want to recreate webcam broadcasts where people just sat, you know, no offense to what we're doing right here, this is really appropriate for what we're doing right here, and maybe some people will stay with the broadcast and want to follow because they find it interesting, but we think it's more interesting that people can get up and go to the fridge if they're going to be broadcasting from the couch, or that they can be driving around, or they can be going on a hike or going to a special place or whatever it may be. So we really wanted the primary use case to always be mobile in some way, shape, or form, which is why we avoided the desktop at the beginning. We've since updated our product really because we kind of had to. We had to be competitive in the market. We needed to have a desktop version as well as having the mobile version.
Okay. Then two, here's one of the perks I think of using Hang With versus those other two is the searchable hashtag.
Yeah.
In many instances, you've got the other two that are directly tied to Twitter. And this one, you can still broadcast your link to Twitter, but you can also stream through a Facebook fan page. Mm-hmm. I think that's just great. And I think that puts you way ahead of the game in many instances. So, but at the same rate, what was the thought behind, you know what, we're not going to tie this specifically to one particular platform?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
We're just going to let people come in however they want to come in.
Yeah, it goes back to some really early conversations we had, and what we didn't want people to have to do is we didn't want them to have to make a choice. Do I share this on Hang With, or do I save it to my phone? That was the first choice. You know, your baby's taking her first steps, and your family's all following you on Hang With, and you have a chance to either share this with your family and show them what's happening, or record it onto your phone and know that you've got it on your phone. And in those early meetings, we just said we don't want people to have to make a choice. We want them to be able to share it with their family and save it. And so everything should be saved, and everything. Now, if you don't want somebody to see it and you want to delete it, we put the power in the user's hands to be able to delete their own content or hide their own content. But as a default, we want you to be able to come back and access it again and again. And then as what we thought early, we believed that people would want to keep their Hang With content really closed and guarded. We felt like people were going to be more private and more secretive about what they were sharing live than what ended up being the case. And instead, people were like, they love the idea of being able to share it. They were saying, how can we share it in other places? And so we said, well, let's make Hang With kind of the megaphone that broadcasts out to as many different places as possible. Again, we don't want you to have to choose. So if for an artist or for one of your clients, if they spent their time building up their Facebook page, then we should stream to their Facebook page. If they've spent their time building up their Twitter audience, we should stream to their Twitter audience. We've added the ability to export to YouTube because there's a lot of people who want to be able to create content on Hang With and then share it to their YouTube page. You can save it to your phone, literally to your device, so you can edit it and cut it up later. We've added some early Instagram sharing. We've got, for our digital tickets, you'll be able to promote your digital ticket on Instagram. We're doing some Instagram sharing, looking into that as well. So we're really all about just using this as the megaphone to capture what you're doing right now and pushing it out to the different platforms. And again, as it relates to our competition, they are kind of picking certainly Periscope is aligned to Twitter. So if you're going to use it, you're going to be you're speaking to your Twitter audience. So I think we really did want to create a tool that could cross those boundaries.
Okay. The also too, well, since you said the P word,
okay.
Will there be other partnerships? Because there's a rumor, and it might be verified by now, that the P word is going to be aligned with the A word, which is Apple.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know how aligned it is. I mean, I know that there were rumors in TechCrunch yesterday. I mean, basically, they announced that they're building an app for Apple TV. We've been working on our Apple TV and our TV distribution as well. They happen to have a much louder megaphone than we do, so you can't fault them for that. And I think that there may be some integration in terms of them building an app for that, but there's no reason that there can't be a Hang With app for that, along with lots of other applications. I think that they certainly exist, and there's other platforms that exist in this space. But I think that the way that we look at this is really, 8 years ago we started a company to build apps, and everyone said, "Are you sure you want to spend your time and money to build a company that builds mobile apps? I mean, isn't that kind of a flash in the pan?" And here we are 8-9 years later, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
That's true.
Live streaming is something that we started a few years ago, and people said, you're absolutely crazy. There's, we've had some pretty big name investors in the world say to us, nobody's ever going to spend time live through a mobile device. It's just not going to happen. And so we can list out those people who were wrong a few years ago, and we can look at where we are today and say, okay, we're still really at the beginning of this. We're at the start of where bandwidth has caught up, connectivity has caught up, technology has caught up, and now it's possible that I can be talking to you, and I've got 72 people who are with me live here and can hear what's going on. And for some of our users, it's 7,000 people who can be with them live, and it's going to go to millions. So I think that the technology is just getting better and better. What I believe is going to happen to the marketplace is that it's also going to go through an evolution where there will be different flavors of live, just like there are different flavors of chat, just like there's different flavors of social or different flavors of messaging. It's not, I don't think that we're looking at a one-sum game where only one player is going to emerge and own this entire new category of communication, because it's fundamental human communication. It's just now we get to talk to each other live as opposed to asynchronously. So, we think that Periscope is, it's a great product. It's a very cool product. I think that Meerkat was very smart in how they launched, and I think that they did some really smart things from a PR standpoint, and they're very successful in raising a bunch of money, and we'll see where they take their product. They've got really smart people behind them, so I think they'll do well as well. I think that our lane and where we want to carve out is still very ownable and is still going to be our lane. And I think that, 3 years hence, there'll be other ones too that we can't even imagine that popped up that own a part of this space that we don't see today.
Yeah, that's true, because now that Facebook has joined the mobile,
right,
the live streaming race.
Yep.
And then the other thing too that you have in common with hip hop, people thought hip hop too was going to be a flash in the pan.
Right, right. Yeah, I think it's number 1 through 10 on the Billboard top 50. Or, it's just and what happens first? The people think the innovators are crazy, and then they start to copy them, and then eventually the true innovators rise to the top and lead the pack. I mean, look at what Dre was able to do and where Beats went, and so yeah, I think that we'll knock on wood and we'll keep aiming in the right direction. But I'm really positive about where the direction is that we're headed.
Then there's another advantage that you have too, and that advantage is this partnership with GoPro. Explain how that came to be.
Sure. Well, and the GoPro is basically using their technology to stream via a GoPro device. It's not an official partnership. We use their API technology, just like some of our competitors have used their API technology. So I think that what is super cool about it is that, for instance, you can mount a GoPro device on looking out at the soccer field, and you can get a wide angle lens and you can share a soccer game, or you can mount a GoPro device to a drone and you can fly the drone around. And one of the things that we did that we were really particular about is we record the audio and we keep the chat happening on the phone. So in the case of let's say you're using a drone and you're flying a drone around and we've seen some really cool drone broadcasts. You're still reading the chat on your phone. You're still communicating with the people who are chatting with you on your phone, but the camera that's capturing is flying up around you at 500 feet. And we've got some. It's too early to make any announcements in that space, but we've got some new things brewing in that direction that I think will absolutely leapfrog what's been done to date in that area.
Okay, so that's good news, probably for some celebrities, but for those industrious thinking paparazzi, not so much.
No. Well, I actually think that all the rules. You know what? We're in a disruptive time, right? We're disrupting all these different businesses that have been in place and all these different paradigms that have been in place. As far as drones particularly go, and even with the area of live streaming, I'm really interested in seeing what's happening in public policy, what's happening with setting public policy, what's happening with privacy concerns. I sit on the board of the App Developers Alliance, which is a national organization that works with developers and on behalf of developers in Washington D.C. to stay out and kind of abreast of public policy and it's an area of personal interest to mine. So we're not looking to create spying technology. We're not looking to do that. And I think that whatever we can do to help that, the more the better.
Okay. Yes, and let's use the tools for good, people. For good.
Yeah, let's use those tools for good.
Yes. Speaking of which, we've been talking a lot about celebrity and building audiences that way, but I want to talk too about businesses because the reality of it is, small businesses and even large businesses too, for those that are looking at a new way to engage their audience, what do you think are some of the best ways businesses can use Hang With to either grow their online audience or literally to turn this thing into money? Because I know, and I want to talk a little bit about that digital ticket too, as well. Sure,
I think, and I'd add a third, which is to build a stronger connection with the audience that they already have. So I think that going through the three, how do you build a stronger audience? How do you build a larger audience, and then how do you generate revenue for your business? I think that for building a larger audience, the fact is that there are businesses that create events, create moments in time, all day long, every day, that there are people out there that would be really interested in, either because they have some of them so far as have people that they've sponsored, they have athletes, or they have brand evangelists, or they have people that are really fascinating that never really gets shared. Back in my advertising days, I used to work for a large mortgage client that sponsored a whole bunch of athletes, and we would sit around all day trying to think up ways that we could connect our athletes with our customers. And gosh, if we had Hang With back then and all we needed to do was follow one of them on a round of golf, or sit in, when they drove around the test track, or went to a swim practice with one of them. I mean, these are people who millions and millions of people would have loved to have watched that. And with a little bit of support from the brands telling people to come in and tune in, we now have this brand new content category that people find fascinating. So I would say to the brands, it's identifying what you do that is going to be interesting, whether it's factory tours that might be fascinating to people, or brand evangelists, or whatever that is. There's content that you can use that a live audience will be really interested in. I think there's a really powerful approach for businesses that may be even more powerful than gaining new customers, which is hard to say for a business, but it's building a stronger relationship with current customers. And one of the things that Hang With does differently is we do have the ability to do private broadcasts, either fully private, where only your followers can watch, or partially private, where everybody can view and only your followers can chat. And so in that regard, I can tell you we've used it in a really interesting way. We've had investor meetings where we've had public investor meetings on Hang With, where only our investors and our shareholders are allowed to chat. So we've had 300-400 people watch, while my partner and I and a couple key people from the company give an update to 25-30 people, and they're asking questions and they're commenting and they're connecting with each other, and we're just making it public for everybody to see, but we're really only communicating with our key stakeholders. There are companies. Every company has a group of key stakeholders, has a key audience. And if you wanted to hold a sales meeting, if you wanted to hold a shareholder meeting, if you wanted to hold a key customer roundtable, if you wanted to connect with people who you know, but do it in a really fascinating, lightweight way, Hang With is an incredible tool for that.
What's been one of the best ways you've seen outside of that investor meeting? I think that's kind of brave. That's really brave.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
What's one of the best ways you've seen Hang With used to date?
To date, there's been a lot. I mean, I have my favorite broadcasts. I have my personal, emotional favorite broadcasts of some things that I've seen that people have shared that I've thought have been incredibly brave. But there's one use case that I think is kind of been the biggest leap forward for us, which is the guys from a production called Conman. Conman is now in finishing up in pre-pro. If people want to follow them on Hang With, there's the Conman account. Conman is a web series about a couple of convention men, heroes in the sci-fi world. They go to sci-fi conventions, and it's really based on the real life of Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion, who were stars in a sci-fi show that was canceled, that they became heroes in the sci-fi world. They started going to these science fiction conventions, and they live a very surreal life as professional actors who also happen to have these diehard sci-fi fans that follow them to the conventions. So they decided to produce a web series about it. They put it up on Indiegogo. They wanted to raise $500,000 to shoot this web series. And what they did that I thought was brilliant is they said, anybody who gives us $15 or more will have private access to our Hang With account. And we're going to bring you behind the scenes as we make this production. Anybody who gives us $250 will get private access to Alan's personal account and Nathan's personal account. And you can chat with them from their trailer or when they're doing really special things. We built some back-end API that connected with the Indiegogo, so that as people signed up and donated to their campaign, we kicked out an email welcoming them to Hang With and telling them about their private access. The response rate was through the roof. They raised $3.5 million in a month. They raised their $1 million in the first day, I believe. It was just an astronomical record. And there were people some of them who paid $250 for a Hang With account to follow these actors, and they couldn't have been happier about it. When Alan would go live to his private audience of 200 and 300 people, the chat was just, thank you so much for doing this. I can't believe I'm finally getting to talk to you. I can't believe I'm getting to spend time with you. When they do it for the fans in general, they have thousands of people who tune in. And again, it's this vibe of, this is the coolest use of social media I've ever seen. They've done table reads on Hang With. They've done castings where they've brought in extras from Hang With. They've done they've announced that they're going to be certain places on Hang With, and then they let their fans show up to meet them at the convention in certain places. So they've integrated the app into their production process, and they used it as a way to reward people who were giving money. And that was really what clued us into the idea that, you know, we feel as a company that live content has value. That if I'm going to share what I'm doing with people, that's different than writing a post. That's different than taking a photograph. It's that I should be rewarded for that, and that there's real currency value, not just social value in that. And so the ad dollars, the idea that someone's going to watch a 6-second commercial in order to hang out with me for 15 minutes, that's a really low friction way that viewers can give to an artist for their time, and compensating with that ad revenue is how we had come out of the gate. But when we saw that people were willing to spend $250 for live access, and it wasn't a couple people, there were hundreds of them that did that. So that pushed us forward on some new revenue models much faster than we initially had thought, which is why you mentioned digital ticket. Digital ticket is basically a personal pay-per-view where you set your time, you set your price, you decide how much your broadcast is worth. And if you want to get $4.99 for sharing your secrets of what you know about social media, then, amen, you can charge it. People can buy it. You can promote it on Facebook. You can promote it on Twitter. You'll be able to promote it on Instagram. So that whole product line came out of this profound realization that not only did people not mind, they loved it. They were happy to pay that money for that experience, and that's also led to some new revenue models that are being built right outside my door right now.
Okay. I do have as I'm looking at more celebrities, especially music artists, use these tools. I'm also seeing some of the more traditionalist thinking individuals see it as a threat, because when people are going to the concerts and they're streaming this and they're streaming that, you think, can we come to a balance wherein the powers that be don't see it as such a threat? Because my thought literally is, those individuals who are more than satisfied watching a concert on a mobile phone were not going to buy a ticket anyway.
Yeah, well, yes and no. Yes and no. I think that you can say that, but the fact is that these are established businesses that have put a lot of time and money and history into building their business, and we are in a disruptive time, and so disruption is going to force some players to be really uncomfortable. And the Napster came along and went like this and then disappeared, and lo and behold, Apple came along a little bit later and figured out how to make that model work. I think if you look at the early days of YouTube, there was, there's a funny story that the first investors of YouTube got them office space right across from the courthouse because they knew they were going to spend most of their time in court at the beginning of building their company. And if nowadays YouTube has figured out digital fingerprinting of music content and video content and all those things, so that rights holders, not only they don't fight it, they actually embrace it. Because if my song ends up in your YouTube video and your YouTube video gets 1 million hits, well, then I'm going to get paid for that. And so the way that revenue flows now is appropriate in that YouTube space. I think we're going to get there in the live space. I don't think that standing at the audience, holding up my phone from the Verizon Amphitheater or the Staples Center approximates what can be captured in a professional streaming experience that they're charging for today, or the ticketed experience that they're charging for today. But it's going to get mashed together, and it's going to get sorted out. And we want to be at the forefront of that. We're having lots of conversations about what that could look like and what that looks like, and we want to be a good corporate citizen, and we want to play well and partner with the right people. And so
I've seen YouTube use it brilliantly. I thought that was kind of brave too. Instead of waiting for someone to live stream it, you couldn't tell me I was not on stage with Bono.
Right. Yeah, they use
one of the other ones that starts with an M to live stream their concert. And I was like, wow, that was really kind of, it wasn't necessarily brave, but I thought that's a great way to embrace it as opposed to seeing it as a threat.
Yeah, it's exactly. And I think that the difference between us and where we kind of draw the line is we do see that content having value. We're not looking to create just one more free social media. And we think that a concert creator, a promoter should be able to stream live and get paid for that concert as well. Whether that's charging by creating a digital ticket for it, whether that's just running it and taking ad revenue, whether that's running it and embedding their own advertisers into the platform. That's one thing we didn't talk about is Hangwith is built on a pre-roll and post-roll model. So if you wanted to run advertising before and after your broadcasts, so, again, going back to the concert, the artist could charge an extra $0 for their sponsors who are already paying and just embed that content into a Hangwith broadcast and run advertising before and after. So we think that that it's going to change, but we don't want it to change to the point where it's just one more free thing. We think, and we've got nothing against free. It doesn't have to be that people are forking out money out of their pocket. I think that watching a short ad unit is really not much to ask of somebody when you're giving them all of this amazing content to enjoy.
Okay, well, that's all of my questions. Is there something that you wanted me to ask that I didn't?
There's nothing. Well, there's one thing that's coming that we're really excited about, and so the model that what's interesting is when we release digital tickets, what digital tickets showed us is there's absolutely a market for the digital ticket viewers, but there's a real hunger for a model of tipping, where the broadcaster doesn't have to say you owe me $3 for this broadcast. The broadcaster can just do what they do, and viewers who want to tip can give a tip, and those who don't. And so, especially for a lot of artists see that as a way to straddle these two worlds, where there is the free option out there, where there is no expectation of money, and there's a level where we think things are evolving to, where there will be production value, where there will be intent behind it, where there is a value behind it, and in the middle, kind of as a bridge, we have this concept of tipping that we think is really exciting. And so shortly, if people were to like my broadcast, they could throw me 10 cents, they could throw me 30 cents, and we think that that's going to create just, again, some new interesting opportunities.
Well, yeah, and this is bad for me, and just basically in total transparency about where my mind went with tipping. Mm-hmm. Having seen some users of Hangwith, especially those who are female and relatively cute, mm-hmm. and relative, they got assets. How are you going to create some rules and regulations around tipping? Because
we have rules and regulations.